Miss Kim from Naturally STEM, and I am so happy to see you today. Can you guys guess what I want to talk about? Use your powers of observation and look around my table. Of course, birds. Birds are a wonderful thing of nature, and I love them, and I love talking about them. And I was actually talking to my daughter-in-law the other day, and my granddaughter was telling me about all of the bird feeders they had in their backyard so they could view their backyard birds. I thought that would be a great thing for us to talk about today and get some tips on how we can help our backyard birds here in Oklahoma. Now, Miss Kim, what is a backyard bird? Well, take a look at the 6 birds I have down here. Do you see them in your backyard sometimes? In a tree or on the fence? Yeah, that's why we call them backyard birds, because we see these very commonly in our backyards or in the schoolyard or in the park, someplace like these. These type of birds right here are pretty used to humans, so we're going to see them in our backyard. We also have in our backyards the resources they need to live. So when that happens, we're going to see some happy birds back there. So let's talk really quickly about what these birds eat and then how we can help them out. So if you guys notice, I'm going to put my glasses on. I can't see my pictures, so I have them right here so I can read off what we have. We have a hummingbird. So we do have the black-chinned hummingbird that will overwinter or stay here in Oklahoma all winter long. This is a hummingbird nest. Now how awesome is that? It is just so tiny. It's made out of mud and lichen and the bird's saliva. It all mixes together and then they can build that. But that is just the tiniest little thing, right? But little hummingbirds aren't no bigger than that. But they have those big long beaks, right? Look at my picture. They have that big long beak. And my hummingbird loves to eat nectar. Okay, so they have that big long beak, and they love those long tubular flowers. They stick it down in there, and they love to slurp that nectar, but they also eat insects. Okay, so my hummingbird is an omnivore. An omnivore is what? Absolutely, friends. An omnivore is an animal that eats both plants and animals. So he drinks the nectar from the plants, but he will eat little insects when he has a chance, okay? So he's an omnivore. And then I have this little guy here is a house sparrow. Now I'd like to show you guys, so take good look, so when you see him outside, you can go, ah, that's what that is, because I seen that with Miss Kim. So this is a house sparrow. And what do you think house sparrows might eat? His little beak is tiny. It is very small, but it's very hard, and it's got that shape to help him crack open little seeds and things like that. So my sparrow eats grains and seeds, but he will also eat insects. So he is also an omnivore, right? He's a little small, but they will eat little bitty insects. How cool. Then I have the chickadee. The chickadee is pretty close to the sparrow in the fact of size. They're pretty small, and they have that little, sharp, strong bill. Okay, so that beak that they have is very strong, and that also helps him break open those seeds that he likes and to catch those insects that he likes to eat. So he is also an omnivore. So that is a chickadee, and just keep looking at them, look and look and look, so you guys get a good idea of who they are in your head. So when you see them outside, you know what they are. The next one, we have the Northern Cardinal. So you guys have seen the red birds out there. They're cardinals. Their name is Northern Cardinal, and they are quite unique. Okay, they're a bigger bird than my hummingbirds, this big, my sparrow and chickadee maybe this big, but getting to my cardinal, they're about this big, right? And they got a bigger beak than these guys, and it is kind of the same shape. It's a little bit bigger, but my northern cardinal, he's nothing but an herbivore. Now, what is an herbivore, friends? Beautiful. An herbivore is an animal that only eats grass, only eats plants, okay? So plants of some kind. He doesn't eat any type of insects, so he's eating berries. So he likes berries, and he likes the nuts, and he likes the seeds that I have here. And there's all kinds of these out in the wild. We have bur oak acorns, and we have hickory nuts, and we have different kinds of other types of seeds out there. So my cardinal is a full herbivore. He eats nothing but the plants, so he has to have a very strong bill to be able to break open the outside of the nuts, okay? So he's got a very strong bill meant for cracking nuts. So that is my herbivore, the cardinal. The next guy right here, the blue one, exactly, he's a blue jay. Now my blue jay, he's the crazy guy because he will eat anything that he can get his little beak on. His beak is a little bit longer, if you notice, than the cardinal, and it's a little more narrow. It's not as wide. It's longer and more narrow, and that allows him to get the insects. He will eat any of the insects that he can get into his mouth, earthworms and ants and anything that he can get. So if it's movable and he can eat it, I got a fly and I got a beetle and I got an ant. They will even eat spiders. If you don't like spiders, birds are helpful to us because these guys will eat all of the insects that we don't like. So Mr. Blue Jay, he will eat anything. He loves the insects, but he will also eat the berries, and he will eat the nuts, and he will eat the sunflower seeds, and he will eat any of the other little kind of seeds that we have out there in nature. So Mr. Blue Jay, he is a generalist. That's what we call somebody who will eat anything, whatever he can get. He's a generalist. He's not so specific. So you'll see him around a lot because he'll be at any feeder you have. He'll be down on the ground digging for insects. He loves doing his job of eating. Okay, and then we have the red-bellied woodpecker. If you take a look, he does have a little stripe of red right here. And that might mislead you and you think, well, Miss Kim, that's a red-headed woodpecker. But a red-headed woodpecker has from here up, his entire head, front, back, middle, sides, everything, is a bright, bright red color. Kind of like the berries, bright red. And then he has a white belly and then a black back. Where the red belly has just a stripe of red right here. But his belly is going to be a softer red color. Okay, so he's got a russet red belly. And then you see on his back, he's got those speckles. Okay, that's how you can tell the red-headed woodpecker from the red-bellied woodpecker. Where does our woodpeckers live? Absolutely. They live in trees. Here's a woodpecker hole. But I can turn it around and find a woodpecker food hole. Because what do? You bet, they peck and they find the insects inside. So look at his beak down there. He's got that long beak and it's special. It's really, really strong to be able to keep drilling into trees day after day after day. So it has to be very strong. And he then eats the what? You bet, the insects from inside the tree. Okay, so does he just eat insects? Ah, that was a trick question. You guys caught that. I love it. They don't. They will also eat, they will also eat seeds and nuts and things like that. So they have to have the strong beaks to eat the seeds and the nuts and the insects, but also to be able to pound through that wood to get there. So if you see, all of the backyard birds we have, they pretty much like the same things, right? They're all omnivores except for the cardinal, who's an herbivore, and he wants the berries, the nuts, and the seeds. That's what everybody else wants too. The berries, the nuts, the seeds, and then my omnivores like the insects, okay? So, how can we help them out, friends? Wonderful! Good ideas. We're going to make them some bird feeders. I'm going to scoot everything up a little bit, and really quickly I'm going to show you a couple of different designs. Now, a lot of us, and I know I don't always have money to go out and buy those really cool bird feeders and bird houses and bird baths and things like that. They're all cool, but we don't always have to go out there and spend that kind of money to make them. I am a conservationist as well as a naturalist. I teach about nature, but I want to conserve our natural resources and the land that we have out there. So when I can reuse items from my house, that is what I love to do. It saves on the landfill, it saves the environment, it saves on litter out in the environment that might just be in the ditch. And that's also helping wildlife as well, keeping them safe in that way. So a couple of different ways that I have to make a couple of bird houses on things that we can reuse. If you guys just have a milk carton laying around, okay, maybe not laying around, but in your recycle bin, just clean it out, wash it out really well with soap and water, let it dry. Then I just took a marker and I just drew a square. Okay, I'm leaving the handle so I can use it. It makes it easier for me. So let's cut out the square, and to save time, I have done that. Okay, so just take scissors, poke in the corner, have your adult help you, my younger friends, please. No injuries, I don't want anybody hurt. And then take your scissors and just cut out. This is thin plastic, so it's fairly easy to do, but if you want your adult to help you, by all means, friends, okay, at your comfort zone. How simple is that, right? That is all it takes. And then you can decorate it if you want to. And then you can put your bird seed right inside. And I just took a couple of handfuls here just to show you. Okay, so we can have our seed in here. The smaller birds can sit right on the edge here. Some of them, sometimes I see them actually get inside. I think for the smaller birds, that might actually be a little more protection for them from the bigger birds. So this is a good one for the smaller birds to be able to perch or to get inside. You could even poke a hole right here and then push a stick through so that there would be other footholds for them to grab onto. Be inventive, be creative. Then I simply took a nail. I'm going to find my glasses again, got to find my eyes. I simply then took a nail and I just came down right underneath the lid, and I just very carefully poked a hole. It's that simple, okay? And I did that all 4 ways around, okay? And then I just took fishing string. You can take ribbon, you can take yarn, whatever you have at your disposal, and then just run them through those holes and tie it up, and look at that. I have a wonderful bird feeder that can feed a couple of birds at one time. And that will hold quite a bit of seed as well. So that is project number 1. How about I made this one the other day. You have any kind of containers, even if you have an old pie pan that you guys just had for the holidays, and you have it, you might have washed it thinking, oh, I can use it for something. Yeah, this would be perfect for the base of either a bird feeder or a bird bath, which I'll show you in just a minute. So these types of containers, this container, I went to Walmart and bought a chicken that was already made from the deli. So this is what the chicken came home in. If you guys get food from Grubhub and places like that, you might have food containers. So this is just the bottom that I've washed out with soap and water. And again, I love reusing things that I have around the house. So I got my fishing line. I poked my holes just like I did with the nail. Just took my nail and went around all sides, poked the hole. Then I put knots in my fishing line, put a knot on this side so it won't pull through here. And I just simply brought all 4 up like this. I was scared that the birds might run into the lines because they're kind of invisible. So I took water bottle lids and I colored them pretty colors. And then I just tied them onto the fishing line so they will see the lines and not accidentally run into them. And this is good for my bigger birds, my cardinals and my blue jays and my bigger birds, because this is stronger and they can perch on the sides of this one really nicely. And then I have my bird seed in here that's got millet, it's got crushed corn in it, it's got the black sunflower seeds. Those are wonderful seeds and nuts that you can buy at the grocery store or at the dollar store pretty cheaply for a big bag. And this will last a good long while for feeding them. So that is a good type of bird seed to have that's going to help out and catch the attention of all the birds. So you'll want some cracked corn. You might want some peanuts in there. You'll definitely want sunflower seeds. Because they love the sunflower seeds, some millet. So just your generic bird seed at the store, if you look, that will have all of that in it, and that is good stuff. So that is bird feeder number 3. Just really simple, whatever you might have from the house. And again, if you use something like this, just take your nails, just like we did, poke a hole in 4 sides, and bring them up to the T just like this, okay? If you have an old plastic bowl that has been in the microwave and can't be used anymore, anything you have, you could take your water bottle, cut off the bottom, and use that for small birds, okay? All kinds of things. Use your creativity, my friends. There's all the kinds of things that we can do. Here's one that I really like too. Who has any pine cones around them? You can go to a park and find pine cones or all over, okay? A really fun way to do this for the birds too. Peanut butter is very good for to help adhere the seeds to the pine cones. So what we're going to do, this is going to be a feeder. And I'm going to take peanut butter and I'm just going to slather it all over this pine cone. And then I'm going to roll it in the seeds. And once I get all those seeds nice and caked all over this pine cone, I'm then going to take the ribbon and tie it around the top. And we can go hang it from our trees. This is another really good way. And the peanut butter is protein, so that is a good... that's good for the birds in the winter time. Okay, it will help with the protein, help keeps them warm, and that's good stuff. So you take, and what I do is I take an older cup. Let me do this. Let me do this a little differently. Let me get my other cup here. And I'm just going to put some peanut butter in here because I don't want to put it on my pine cone and stick it back in my peanut butter. Does that make sense? Beautiful. So we have our peanut butter. And I'm just going to slather it. Oh, and this is just fun to do as well. And you're just going to slather it all over your pine cone. Oops. And if you get messy, that's okay, because it cleans up, doesn't it? That's right. Get as messy and as creative as you want. There you go. And then lay your seed into a tray that's not going to get, doesn't matter if it gets messy. And then just roll it around. And I like to put it on top. I just like to make sure that it's everywhere. But look at that. How awesome. Those birds are absolutely going to love that treat. And then, let me wash off real quick. It's nice to be doing this in my kitchen where I can just rinse out real quickly right there. And I'm just going to take some ribbon for this one. And I'm going to cut it. That's all. And then just find some of your little prongs at the top of the pine cone. Wind your ribbon around it and tie it. Tie it. My fingers don't want to work this morning. So you tied it around like that, and then you want to come up here to the top and tie a knot here. So then, right, voila, you can just hang it in your trees. And in this way, you have a couple of different bird feeders, so you're going to draw those birds in. Oh, and they're going to love you. But what else might they want? It's wintertime and it's cold out there, so what else might they be having trouble getting access to? You bet. Clean, unfrozen water, okay? So I have made this one. I have 2 of these that sit in my yard. These are my bird baths. I don't have the money to go and buy a bird bath from Lowe's or someplace like that. They are beautiful, but very expensive. I went to the dollar store and bought 2 plant holders, pot holders, is that what they're called? Pot holders? And then 1 of the saucers that you sit them in. Okay, so I have 2. And this cost me $3. So I have a medium-sized pot. I have a big pot. I turned it upside down. I took this pot and glued it with, what I used was Gorilla outdoor glue. But any type of strong outdoor glue that's going to stay strong. Even Elmer's glue will work, okay? So you glue that. Before I glued the saucer to the top of this, I actually added some rocks to this pot right here so it has weight to it so it doesn't fall over when the birds land on it. Makes sense? When the wind blows, the rocks right here keeps it steady, keeps it weighted, and it's really nice. So I have rocks in here, so about this much rocks. Just go out and find some gravel. Then set this on top and glue it together with your Elmer's glue, your Gorilla glue, whatever you're using. But make sure that you put it so the deep side is right here. Then I put water in it. And my birds are very happy. They love this bird bath as much as they would love a $50 bird bath. So, good to go. I have another kind of bath. Think about it. What other kind of bath do you think I might put out in my yard to help something out? You have a guess? Well, let me show you this one. This is my bumblebee bath. Bumblebees and insects, they need water too. But if they come up to this one, well, that's going to be a danger to them because what are my birds eating? Insects as well as the plants and the nuts and stuff. So insects don't want to be in this one because it's dangerous for them. But how cool is this one? This one just sits right on the ground, just like this. And I have a couple of big rocks in it, and I have marbles in mine because they're just pretty and I like them. But you can put rocks in there, you can put sticks in there, and then I put water in it. And what I do, I put just enough water that it comes up just to the edge. So I only cover my marbles halfway with water so the bumblebees or other insects can actually land on the marbles or on these 2 rocks and not have to worry about drowning. Right? Does that make sense? They don't have to swim and try to get a drink. They don't have to try to hover. They can land on this little marble right there and just bend down and just get the drink that they need. So I love to be able to help not only my birds, but the insects in my yard as well, because the insects, they're my pollinators. I want them to stick around so they make my flowers pretty, right? It's all the circle of life. We want to help everything. So we want to help the insects not only pollinate, but circle of life, they are food for our birds. So to help our birds, we're going to have bird feeders out for them. We're going to have water feeders out for them. Really quickly, for my hummingbirds, you don't have to have red water to attract them, okay? I want you to know that. these little flowers, they resemble those tubular flowers that the hummingbirds like in nature. So the little flower shapes are what's going to attract them, not the color of the water, because they really don't see the nectar in the plant, right? Does that make sense? The nectar is inside. So they're not really seeing that. So the red dye in commercial nectar that you buy, hummingbird nectar at stores, that red dye can actually be a little dangerous to the hummingbirds. So I just want you to know you can get your hummingbird feeders. You can make your own nectar at home, and you don't have to use any red dye whatsoever, okay? So if you have your hummingbird feeder, I have some sugar. I have my measuring cup. So I use 1/4 sugar to 1 cup of water. So it's a 1-to-4 ratio. So find your measuring cup and find your 1/4 mark, and I put that much sugar in mine. Whoops, got a little messy there. And then you will fill this up to 1 cup with water, and you can either boil it on the stove, or I just let my water run under my sink until it gets as hot as it can be, and then stir it up and it'll work. So really quickly, but I'm not going to let it get warm. Just for time's sake, pretend that is hot water. Hot water, as hot as it can be in your thing. 1/4 cup of sugar. Stir it up. Pour it into your thing. Hang it up outside. And the hummingbirds that are living here year-round will thank you. I promise. Keep it clean and check it every couple of days. Make sure that it's not frozen or anything like that. Always make sure that your water in your bird baths themselves aren't frozen, and your birds are going to love you. Now, one last thing, my friends, that we can do to help our backyard birds stay happy all winter long. What do you think that could be? And it's going to help you be happy. Your parents might not like it, but you're going to. And this is the argument you can use. Don't rake your leaves! What? Under all that leaf litter in your yard, that's where the little insects live. That's where they overwinter. That's where they live. That's where they get warm. And that's where my birds are going to be looking for food in the wintertime. If they are an omnivore, like my blue jay, my chickadee, my sparrow, they're going to be looking for those little insects that we were just talking about. And where do they live? Under those leaves. So if you rake your leaves every winter, every fall, you're going to wipe out all of the habitat for the insects to live in that's going to be feeding your birds. And that's going to be less birds, less insects, less flowers in the springtime. Okay, so the wonderful leaves on the ground is a wonderful thing to have. So when Dad says, go rake those leaves, say, here's my argument not to, and see what he says. Now, if he says it, friends, you still got to go do it. Okay, but maybe you can win that argument and get your older person to see that the leaves on the ground are a great thing to have. So I hope you had fun with me today. I hope you go and make some bird feeders, some bird baths, some bumblebee baths, and help out our backyard birds and have a good time while you're doing it. I enjoyed you guys today, and I will see you later. Go find your adults, go enjoy your naturehood, and have a great day. Bye, my friends.